Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. So today's video will be a little bit different once again, and this has to do with this being now posted by War Thunder on Twitter. And normally I don't do this. Normally I cover a single vehicle with some sort of realistic expectation when there is a dev block, or I make a summary of the vehicles that are represented on a dev server. Everything is subject to change, and this is now suggestions passed to developers March 2019 by the senior suggestion moderator Cokespray, a guy that I actually once met and a guy that I quite like. He's cool. So this is now a summary of all the new introductions that are suggested, that are suggestions passed to developers. So they will not necessarily get introduced and implemented, but some very interesting are out there, and I want to just run through all of them. There are all the tabs opened. Yes, that's quite a number, so grab yourself a beer, get yourself some snacks. This will be really nice. And the first one will be the Martin P6M Seamaster. There you can see the poll results, and this was this was created, the site, on the 5th of September 2016, so it's quite some time old, 2.5 years, and that seems to be a jet-powered flying boat, interesting performance characteristics and defensive armament, offensive armament in terms of bombs. And even mines. I hope that we'll see mines in War Thunder Naval Warfare. When you think about the VS8 video that I made, it is hard to deliver them, but when they work, they are so really cool. So I don't know if this will be introduced at any point. Currently it has no purpose, but in the future, when we see high tier ships, battle rating 8, 9, 10, with modern ships, modern technology, I also then doubt its usefulness, because then modern ships have obviously very much advanced anti-jet warfare on board, with some missiles, maybe even with the main guns, who knows. Then the HVR Mark 32, especially here for the Americans, Mark 25 Heat Warhead, nothing completely outstanding in there. I see that this post was created in December 2017. As many of you know, update 1.71 new era, and then also the rework, if I'm not mistaken, of planes, or the plane rockets. Before you could just one-shot even a mouse with a rocket landing near them, which was outrageous, which led to a cast spam, and this is now that they are too weak, etc, etc. So nice suggestion, not really the game changer for me, as well as the Heinkel HE162A8 Volksjäger high-speed flight in the Salamander. A lot of people want it. A lot of people, the majority of the votes go to 7.0 as the battle rating, and it should be placed after the Heinkel 162A2. The major difference is not the armament. I think it still has 220mm, but the engine, and the engine on the A2, to which the A8 surpassed its predecessor by quite a margin as it stands here, will be interesting, because the A2 was too slow, it didn't have good energy retention, and the engine, especially at lower altitude, overheated on a regular basis with the, I'm not quite sure if it's an afterburner, but the additional power output. So that will be then the third version of this plane in the game, after the Tech 2 version and the rather rare event vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, and then this one. Quite interesting, where we'll see potential premium, I have to say, potential premium. Then the the English Electric Lightning F6, sorry about this. So battle rating is open for discussion, and after the Hawk the Hunter, I have no idea what this plane really is, although I have heard the name, and this suggestion is not that old, December 2018. Cool looking aircraft, if I have to be honest, twin engines. Very interesting arrangement, and the weaponry and the performance and the additional loadout will be also interesting. And why not? The British can deserve a proper top tier jet. Then the missing bomb threat For the RAF, we have the 8,000 pound and the 12,000 pound bomb. So this is the tall boy. Then for the US, the 4,000 pound bomb, and then for the German, the 2.5 ton bomb. This was suggested in October 2017, so that's 2.5 years old by now. And by then, we already had the Soviets with their 5-ton bomb for nearly 2 years in War Thunder. So this is now where the Soviets had the biggest bomb in the game for 40 years. Wow, how time flies by. And other nations should deserve all of theirs too, as nearly 89% of the community says. And I think this is really nice. I would love to see the Grand Slam. The two questions are if they will have any sort of real purpose in game. Think about ship RB, that will just add to the frustration of cast there, and in air RB they then also kind of lack the targets. And I tried this out in the past. I have no idea if this was changed, but back in the time when I played Enduring Confrontation with the PE8, I tried out both bomb loads, and the 5-ton bomb did much less damage to the airfield of the enemy than on the same airfield the 1,000 kilograms did when I dropped them on this very same exact airfield. So I don't know if this then will be worth it, but for, you know, all the multiple kill memes that people love to see on the internet, it will be quite interesting, especially in tank RB. And since now this is equally distributed between more nations, the Soviets, then the Germans, then the Americans, and then also the British, I think this brings a bit more fairness in overall capabilities to the game. I think any given aircraft can only carry one big bomb so far. In the past, I think one of the jet bombers could carry 3-ton bombs for the Soviets, but I'm not quite sure. I think the only plane that can carry multiple big bombs so far is the B-29 replica from the Soviets. So yeah, let's end it right there. Interesting suggestion, but how useful it will be has to be seen. Then this brings us to one of my favorite suggestions, and this is the Kawasaki Kia 91 from November 2016. And everybody that knows me very well knows that I am a fan of 4-engine bombers in War Thunder in terms of, you know, their looks and when you can make them work in a little bit of a different way than usual. And the Ki 91 looks absolutely stunning. There you can see, especially on the front, the resemblance to the G8N1, the Renzan, which some people foolishly call the Death Star. And yeah, here we can see that it has, or in the description, we can see that it has 12 20mm cannons, 2 on nose, top, both belly turrets, and 4 on the tail turret. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. And then 4 are missing, and either this is now a quadruple turret or there is a third belly turret. I'm not quite sure, but if this is a quadruple turret, then holy hell, can you snipe out the aircraft from the skies? Because as you know, the defensive armaments on any nation's plane is always very inaccurate, overheats sooner or faster than the same weapon types mounted on in the wings of aircraft for fighters, for examples. And with 4 you have enough spread, but enough bullets in the air to then just have a better defensive capability for this bomber. And I would love this thing to perform really nicely. If this leads to a Japanese bomber spam, has to be seen, but Japan definitely needs some love with their bombers. The bomb load, 4,000 kilograms. That's not really enough if you think about it, and for Japan that's still very underwhelming. You need the short range 8,000 kilogram, and yeah, that brings it more up to some of the heavy bombers from other nations, such as the B-29, such as the Heinkel 177, and the P-8, etc. So this will be really, really interesting to see this plane in the skies. I hope that Gaijin gives this a try. The looks are amazing, and I hope that it performs even remotely close to the G8N1, which in my opinion should also get a heavier bomb load, because the three 800 kilogram bombs are just not enough for a heavy bomber. Then the F-84F. Well, a lot of people like it, or a big percentage like it. Then the majority wants this in the normal tree, and it's just an F-84. So 650 cals, nothing new there, but M3s. Then we have 6,000 pound bomb load of rockets and bombs. Yeah, it's just an F-84. I've seen enough of them. Then the Free French Spitfires fighting for freedom, and yeah, that is interesting that not 95% said yes, because there is still a portion of War Thunder that plays simulator battles, and I can see here why it is up to 21% of saying no, because this is technically speaking a foreign aircraft in the French tech tree, although the French tech tree so far is already filled with American and some American, German and Soviet aircraft, to see then also some multiple variants of the Spitfires, namely the Mark 1, 2, 5, 9s and 16s in there. I'm not quite sure if this is that healthy. In simulator battles, you know, it is quite confusing. A lot of team killing is then going on, especially from people that try to go into simulator battles. So I understand that there are quite a lot of people saying no. But if yes, I hope that Gaijin introduced it in a nice way, which is difficult to say. Then the top tier US heavy tank, the T110E5, known from World of Tanks so far, and a lot of people want to see it in game as a regular tech tree version, maybe even event vehicle such as the 100, but because this was in September 2016, we now already have the 155mm gun tank in game as such an event vehicle, so now there would be even more votes probably for regular. Or limited time research such as the LA-174 once was also interesting idea. So, but this has then the very same gun and the very same ammunition as the M103, with the big difference being then the armor. And if we can believe here this model, then the hull frontally would be very strong. A lot of angling going on. Turret ring would be weak spot. The side would be weak, as same as the side of the turret, but the front would be a hard nut to crack. And even the machine gun or the commander's cupola on top of this is then tricky to shoot at. And God knows if Gaijin then decides to give this the very same additional interior plating as the T95. And yeah, otherwise than this, I would love to see this tank, because it would be a bit similar, in my opinion, to the T95E1, but with not a 90mm but a 120mm mid quote-unquote old ammunition types. That brings us then to a very interesting suggestion from July 2017, Leopard prototype series German post-war vehicles. A lot of people want to see those tanks in the game, both the 90mm and the 105mm, and as far as I can understand it, this then would be very interesting, ranging from battle rating supposedly 6.7 with the 90mm gun variants to probably 7.7, where then you have the Leopard 1 together with the mouse, and this then fills the battle rating gap that the new rework of late World War II German stuff has seen. So this then would be, let's say, the prototype PA would then the tech tree light tank for the Germans, which would be really cool. And then we can see for 7.0, 0.3 and 0.7 some additional stuff, which in my opinion the Germans kind of need at those battle ratings. 7.7, another light tank as addition, a tech tree light tank, that would be perfect. Very interesting how they will work out. The stock grind, the battle ratings, the actual armor layout, if then they can be more than only one-shot wonders. Then the last heavy tank of the Soviet Union, Object 770. A lot of the people that took part in the poll, yes in the main tree or no. And yeah, if the Germans get the KP set 70, yes, and this indicates here the time 2016, September 2016. This seems to be a modified version of the M10. No, sorry, of the T10. Sorry, totally confused at the moment. So with a 130mm gun. But it seems like this is not the very same gun that we kind of saw on the IS-7. So interesting. I have no idea about the ammunition types and the penetration values, the overall capabilities of the tank. You can look it up for yourself if you want to see this. But certainly the Soviets, if they get a new one, well, it doesn't make a massive difference. Churchill Mark III, late for British tree. Well, more World War II stuff. I want to see whether big differences will. And then, 6-pounder APDS comparable to 17-pounder APCBC rounds. Yeah, other than this, more World War II stuff. Yes, please. Type 95 Hargo late. A lot of people want it. Battle rating 1.0 and then neat antenna. Yes, so it will be rather low in battle rating anyways, and therefore it will not make the massive difference that you would want to get for Japan as a tank nation. But yeah, why not? Why not? Then another nice meme tank would be the MX-30O F1 with a 155mm artillery piece. So rotatable turret, 155mm HE memes that we already know from the Lorraine 155, which is a rather rare event vehicle. And so this one, yeah, seems to be cool. And then an additional 50 cal, gun elevation -5 degrees, so it's already usable as some sort of a direct fire artillery piece, or how do you call them? The assault guns. Yeah, and then mobility seems to be okayish, really cool actually. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. Please make it a regular tech tree one. Battle rating is already ranging from 7.0 in the discussions to 8.0. I would see as it being based on the chassis of the MX-30, 7.3 I expected. Then another thing is give the possibility to color number decals. 98% nearly say yes. It's a nice improvement in the hangar, but that's about it. Not the massive change. A massive change obviously is the simulator enduring confrontation rewards, because in this little example here, there you can read through it yourself, but that was always one of the drawbacks of enduring confrontation in both simulator and when we had the event also in RB, that your rewards were rather low, especially for the time that you invest and the kills that you get, where for the same time played in normal air RB you would gain threefold nearly. So there you can see the difference. I'm a fan of a rework, so more people are getting into this enduring confrontation, and then if this gets fixed based on this, we might see on a regular basis more events for RB EC, so I'm a fan of this. Standard-sized civil line economy for aircraft. I'm not quite sure if this is okay or not, but to be honest, a little bit of a rework has to be done, especially with the high tier premiums. They should earn more civil lines, and the ones that have already been in game for quite some time and have a high reward, they should keep it. And especially for the ground attackers such as the Kia 109 or the Su-6 ground attackers, they should have all a higher civil line modifier, because it is a dangerous job that ground attackers do. In both air RB and tank RB, they just expose themselves for easy attacks from fighters. They're always rather slow and low on energy and altitude. So to give them a bit more risk-reward in this case a bit, it is already risky, so give them a higher reward for doing this. I would love this. So that's just being one part of this massive discussion from October 2018. Then more color options for HUD and more colorblind options. Yes, please. There is nothing more that I have to add to this. Give us more options. And then we also need the improvement of damage UI. As you can see, over 97% said yes, that we need more proposed solutions. And this is also very interesting. For me personally, one point, I don't really know if this was specifically explained here, but for high tier tanks, when they get shot with AP FSDS, the damage indicator very often points at the wrong direction, probably where the AP FSDS exited than your tank, and this is highly confusing and can lead to your death. So this should be reworked. The most interesting one for Naval RP is also the only one, and that is, do you need searchlights for your boats? So nearly 97% said yes here in the poll, and I think this would be really cool to just tell your team which enemy should be focused, that there is actually an enemy, for example a PT boat going for the far cap on a night map, and running just through the destroyer lines that have just disabled their gunners, their AI gunners for the secondaries and SPA, or not SPA, but for their anti-aircraft guns. So that you can focus them down, that you can blind them, and then the searchlight is an additional target on the superstructure of bigger ships, so to then counter this threat. I think this would be a very interesting game mechanics. We already know that ships have searchlights, not just 3D modeled, but also the AI units in night battles deliver a very nice disco show every now and then. So yeah, I'm up for this. How useful it will be has to be seen. This brings me now to the very beginning. So if you are now kind of flattened by my flood of words, sorry about this, but this is something that I wanted to point out. Usually I don't really follow those news because a lot of the suggestions will not be implemented in the game or much later, but you can see even some old posts like 3-4 years old still can be passed to developers. So I wonder how much stuff is out there. I know that there is a lot out there, maybe there is even more out there. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video for a change. Please give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know what you think about those suggestions, about them in particular, what else should be suggested. And as usual, we will see each other in the skies, on the waves and on the battlefields of War Thunder.